Hey, testing 1 2 1 2. Can you hear the mic? And if anyone feels like going over to our YouTube channel, tell me if you can see and hear the stream. If anyone feels like doing that. Chantal, you want to see if we're streaming? Oh, why am I hearing you on my crazy headset? That makes no sense. Huh. Okay. Can you all hear me? The sound is all right? People, traders of the internet? Wow, that was loud. Okay. Traders of the internet. Okay. Okay. The stream is working. I didn't invite anybody. I'm still just working out the kinks. You really got me. You really got me. Hey, you really got me going. Working out the kinks. Get it? Wow. I saw a picture the other day of Ray Davies. Ray Davies and Dave Davies, the brothers, who were the major part of the Kinks, pushing 80, not able to tour anymore, unfortunately. People do not realize how many great songs Ray Davies wrote. You Really Got Me, probably the most famous. Arthur, Lola, Victoria, Victoria, Victoria. Anybody know that one? What else? What other great ones? What was some of their early ones? You Really Got Me. Come on, Arthur, help me out. Help me out. What were their early songs around the You Really Got Me time period? Someone's using one of their songs in a really famous commercial, which pays them a lot of money because they probably own their publishing. He probably at least owns the songwriting publishing. Sunny Afternoon, great song. All Day and All Night. All day. Da-na, da-na, na, da-na, na. A Well-Respected Man. Waterloo Sunset. Great, great song. He was a phenomenal, underrated songwriter. One of the greatest underrated songwriters, I think, in music history, for real. Okay, everybody, welcome to the Pro Trade Room. Plus, on the Oil Inventory Report, my name is Leigh Goldstein, Trading Director for 10 Minute Trades. Please remember all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. I am not a financial advisor. It is possible to lose money trading futures. Okay, we are streaming live on YouTube. And let's decide what we're going to do today. So I did explain to everyone that I'm interested in Meta earnings for my cash account today. That's the big trade. I did trade Boeing this morning, had a small loss on Boeing. We did have a very nice trading day yesterday. Over $800 in profits yesterday, split between the Top Step account, a couple of hundred, and about almost 600 in the cash account. And then unfortunately, look, durable goods was lousy today. And that was in my Top Step account. So what are you going to do with oil? What are we going to do with oil? Let's do a dive into the oil barrel, the storage barrel, and see what we come up with. So how do you do a deep dive? First thing we do, let's look at the DMM, because the DMM does a very, very, very good job of analyzing the oil inventory behavior. And at the current time, we've had 2 winners in a row. And what I'm going to do is load 3 more DMMs. We're going to do like a 4-month look at the way oil's been trading. So if we go to January, and when we look at January, we're looking at the end of November into the new year. And we had 4 winners in a row, which is very unusual. That has not happened in a long time. And we had 2 losers in November. At the last 2 weeks in November were losers. But then we had not big winners, okay? Not big winners in December and into January. Then if you look at the February DMM, and what I'm looking for is patterns, all right? So if we go January into February, we've got 4 out of 6 winners. 2 stops in a row, 2 winners in a row. And if we go into March, we've got, starting the first week in February, we've got a stop, 2 winners, a stop, 2 winners. And then the current DMM, we've got a win, a stop, a cancel, a stop, 2 wins in a row. So we've really only had one situation I was reading what you wrote, Giles. So the question, Giles, is what about Lilu? What about Lilu? Langford, if you're here, or you want to type in, does Lilu let you trade after 4 p.m.? Because actually, Langford, also my question is, have you lost interest in Lilu if you're here? Because I noticed a lot of the videos and screenshots you send me are Buell knocks. Now, Giles, it's also true of Top Step. They don't let you trade that 4 to 5 p.m. window. They're a problem that time of day. I think they stop at 5 minutes after. I'd have to double check to be sure. But it is a pain that they don't go till 4:30 at least. They should go till 4:30. So I don't see Langford. Let me send him a message because he sometimes is on my WhatsApp. I want to start a WhatsApp private group for us and maybe a Discord. I don't know. Maybe we should just do Discord. Everyone's doing Discord. But I like WhatsApp also. I've never used Discord on the phone. Is Discord decent on your phone for anyone that's out there using Discord? It must be, right? It's fine on the phone? Okay. So I guess you don't need a WhatsApp and a Discord. One or the other, don't you think? Yeah, it's duplication. I'm so used to WhatsApp. All right, I'll figure it out. Anyway, so what are you going to do with oil today? I want to trade it, but I'm concerned about the probabilities right now. It's a probability situation where two winners in a row, it's kind of due for a lousy one. But we know that, you can't trade your life just on probabilities. It doesn't always work. We could easily get three winners in a row. The oil report, honestly, is not one of the main reports that I trade week in, week out. It just hasn't been one of our main reports. So if I were going to trade it, I would trade it in my Top Step account, and I would only want to lose 20 ticks. I'm not interested in losing $400 on it if it doesn't work today. If it didn't work today, my temptation is to do the probabilities like I always do. I mean, honestly, we don't often get more than two winners in a row these days on oil. But this is a tough one because three is not unreasonable. Three winners in a row is just not unreasonable. So if I decided that, yes, I'm going to trade the oil inventory report in Top Step, I would only trade one position. But I don't like testing one position in the room because I like to test the DMM correctly. Not correctly, but fully. But that's a risk of at least 400. Okay? So that's the decision. Oil's trading, I'd say oil's trading pretty well. 4 out of 6, 4 out of 5, 4 out of 6. Right now, it's this week. This last 6 reports were now 50-50 because we had to cancel in March. I'm not going to do it live today. I'm going to just do the DMM normally, and I'm going to look for a change in direction in my Top Step account. That's the way I'm going to approach it today. So we've got a breakout. We're putting the breakout on at 10:29:58. The bracket is 12. Our targets are 10 and 20. 10 ticks and 20 ticks. Anyone watching us on YouTube? I doubt it. Because like I said, I did not advertise. But I think I've got it where all the technology seems to be working fine now. All right, 10 and 20. The stop is 20. And I would use the break even minus 3 on the target 1 stop move. Oil definitely can chop quite a bit. Stop is 20. And then, of course, we're going to do what we always do. Label it, the breakout. Saving a template. Today is the 24th. So I hope that I've received the final software version just now, right before I got into the room. I got an email from our programmer with hopefully the final update. And I'm going to check the width of my brackets. I'm sure the programmer hates me. I mean, I give him a lot of work, but I torture him. All right, so the orders are going to pop right to the VWAP. Now, probably it won't be that way at the time of the report. We still have 20 minutes. So our chart for the breakout is kind of interesting. This is one of those days where the reverse breakout could be a really good setup for oil today. If oil decides to pop and drop or drop and pop, which it often does, you could do the reverse breakout on the downside. I think it's better on the downside. What I would do, what I would consider is I would take a long somewhere between 57 and 69, somewhere in the middle. The reason in the middle is because PP is a very strong area of interest, as is the low of the day. So they both could come into play, or just one of them might come into play. On the upside, yes, the 6 p.m. open is an area of interest, but I don't think it's as strong of an area as the VWAP, which is going to be right where our orders show up. Look, here's the reality, just so you know. The reverse is interesting today. It just is. You know, it could pop a little bit above the VWAP and change direction. It could pop below the low, change direction. So those are areas of interest. They're areas of interest as a manual reversal type trade or as our new setup. Okay. Doesn't change the fact that we have our regular breakout. All right. That's our DNA. So that's our first setup right here. 1029.58. We have our regular breakout. Bracket of 12, targets of 10 and 20 with a stop of 20 and a target one stop move, break even -3. So we have that set up just fine. Don't forget to change your time, right? If you changed your clock to check the width. So then on the change in direction, then you could decide, well, how much do I want to risk? We know oil often changes direction within the first 5 minutes of the report. If it should pop to the VWAP, it might change direction and go test the low. It's pretty close to testing the low right here. That is pretty much an official test of the low. It was only a tick or two away. So I got to call that an official test of the low. The low is 68. And the tick, that's 3 ticks. My official test is 2 ticks. But, you know, I would be careful when it does, when you're going to use your, the magnet trade. I still think it's possible, depending on the news, it could create a new low and go to the PP. It's certainly possible. So as a secondary trade, you can do a manual change in direction. If price gets into this area, 58, 59, 60-ish, you might want to do a long there. If price only pops to the VWAP, that's not a very big pop. It's not that big going down either. The PP is quite a bit better than the low. So I prefer the long at about 58, 59. In terms of the VWAP's a little close to be a great area of interest. So that might depend on the news. If it pops and there's a build, then it might be interesting to try that short. Okay? Possibly. So I don't think there's any chance it's getting to the high. That's almost 80 ticks away. And I really don't think it's going to get to the 6 p.m. open either, because that's 50 ticks away. I just don't think we're going to get that kind of move today. These are some of the things I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's a stronger trade to take a change of direction down at the low or the PP. Oil is, if we look at a 30-minute chart, at 3 in the morning, roughly, oil started to sell off a bit. It made new lows, okay? And now it's come back quite a bit and then sold off again. So I think down might be our direction today. On the report, the question is it going to continue down, or is it worth a shot to take a change in direction for a quick reversal before I think it continues on its way lower? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if it made any sense. So we will watch the breakout on the left. I'll let that play out because that's pretty much automated. And I'm going to put a second trade on the right. I'll trade it in my Top Step account. I'm going to use micros. Remember, in an evaluation account, you're not trading a $50,000 account. I'm trading a $2,000 account because that's my drawdown. There's no shame in trading micros. Anyway, there's no shame in trading micros. But in an eval account, it's perfectly okay. And look, you could trade 4 contracts instead of 2 if you want also. So for today, let's trade 2. I'm looking for a change in direction of 10 ticks and a change in direction of 20 or continued. We'll see. And my stop is going to be 25 ticks. I'm going to try and be as smart as I can be about this reversal, okay? Sometimes they're tricky because you've got news, you've got levels, you have a whole bunch of different things that come into play. Now, of course, I'm disappointed that our Crude durable good trade didn't work today because I had just gotten the evaluation account right back above 50K again. And I'm battling in that account. To get it. I want to get it going. I'm not being reckless. I think the key with all this stuff is don't be reckless. Just because it's a prop account doesn't mean you want to get it reset. You don't want to be reckless. I believe I've said this over and over and people get really mad at me. I think a lot of people use these accounts for entertainment. Not everyone. There's a lot of people that are very serious. Hang on, I'm trying to get an answer to that. Lilu. Without going to their website. Okay, does anybody have any questions about what my plan is here? So if oil gets down to PP or low of day, I might Take a reversal there. Let's get our news up so we see what's going on, because that's critical. Gotta like those Phillies. Wow, what a pitching staff. Phillies are incredible. They're going to be in the World Series this year. Phillies in the World Series. And they're going to win it. That's my prediction. This is our year. Unfortunately, I'm not crazy about our manager. I don't like the way he handles players. I don't like his lineups. He blew the whole season last year by putting Craig Kimbrell in 2 days in a row. The guy was shot. Everyone knew it. And he insisted on using him anyway. The worst managing I've ever seen in my life. In all the years I've watched baseball, my whole life, that was the worst managing I've ever seen. That was egregious to the point of there was no way he would have been allowed to keep his job under any circumstances. It was an error in judgment that cost the whole season, that required a change in management. I don't care what anybody says. No mercy, and I'm the nicest person. He should have been fired. If you're a baseball fan, you know what I'm talking about. Baseball's popular these days. Let's look at last week's oil report. I love baseball. Baseball and Valentine. That's about 100 years ago. I don't even think they make Valentine beer anymore. Arthur, help me out here. You're the only one who knows that besides me. Last week's oil had a pretty nice move down. Two weeks ago, listen, after a while, you do this day in, day out, 7 years, live, real money, stress. This has to be making me into a crazy person, don't you think? You can't do this job and be normal. This is not normal. It's a crazy job. Now, I don't really love that particular oil report 2 weeks ago. I think eventually it did save itself. I think that's really the key here. Let's see if it did. No, it really didn't. I don't think it would have been easy to make money on that report April 3rd because of liquidity. I was just laughing, Arthur, at baseball and Valentine. You remember that? Mel Allen, the Yankees? I mean, I remember Mickey Mantle. I saw Mickey Mantle play baseball. I saw Willie Mays play baseball. That was a gift. It was a gift. That's the truth. 3 weeks ago, let's see, April 17th, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago? Yeah. I had my videos out of order. This was 2 weeks ago. I saw Pete Rose play in his prime. One of the greatest players who ever lived, ever. And he should be allowed in the Hall of Fame. He gambled. So what? Baseball, all they do is gamble now. It's all about gambling. Pete Rose should be allowed in the Hall of Fame. There was an article written, Pete Rose is the most disgusting human being on earth last week in the paper. I mean, can you imagine if like you're living your life, you know, you're famous, you get up and you read the paper, you pick up the newspaper and all over everywhere is the most disgusting human being on earth is you. I mean, that's pretty intense. He's a pretty difficult guy, to say the least. But he was one of the greatest players I've ever seen in my life. Let's check our time sync. And don't talk to me about pitchers. Pitchers who can only go 5 or 6 innings are little babies, and they should not get a win for 5 innings anymore. You should get a win if you go 7 innings. It shouldn't be 5. That would change. But they got to figure out also why so many pitchers are getting injured. Too many injuries. Anyway, ranting about baseball. We've got our possible change in direction in Top Step. We have our breakout taking place on the left. And then don't forget, we'll be back at 3:30 for the day's main event. I cannot call it Meta. It'll always be Facebook to me. Always. Does that make me a bad person? 2 minutes to go. I'm watching over here. No baseball fans out there? So we got one person watching on YouTube. Type in hello. Who are you out there? Hit the like button, because we didn't tell anyone we're streaming today. I'm trying to become a YouTube international star. That's my goal. A YouTube international man of influence. That's my goal over the next year, to become a YouTube star. What are the odds? 0.0001%. Hey, Steve, what's up? How you feeling? Watching oil, what I notice about MCL sometimes on the oil report is a little bit choppier behavior right before the reports than we see on the full-size contract. Sometimes I've seen that, anecdotal. So there's our brackets. Where's the news? This is another thing we've seen on this report. Late news. It's really strange. This whole event. This is not normal. Where's the news? It's not out. Years ago, that was a reason to cancel a report. Do you want to hit the adjust button to center the brackets? Because it's not fair in a way. They're pretty close to current price. Very strange, folks. Very strange. If I was on cash on the breakout, it would make me uncomfortable, and I might consider canceling the report. I don't like when things aren't normal. Because over and over and over and over and over. Now it's out. Very negative. Very negative. Not canceling it. Maybe a winner. That's a pretty negative report. 6 million drawdown. It should not go down. It should not go down at the moment. It should not go down. It should at least hit the first target, but it failed to hit the first target, and that's extremely worrisome. It's extremely worrisome. Watching the other news, there's a build on distillates. Distillates are not so important right now because that part of the season is over. I mean, people use propane all year round, but nowhere near as much as they use in the winter. So this is an oil report that has moved in the wrong direction. It's not stopped us yet. Now, I don't have a trade here because I'm concerned about its behavior. It was a very negative number. Doesn't mean it's a negative report or a positive report. It just means that there was a bigger drawdown. It's an 8 million drawdown because you have to add the build to it to get the true. That's a mind-boggling failure, in my opinion. And a big reason why I don't like trading oil after 2 winners in a row when the probabilities look like 2 in a row could be trouble. Trouble. Just like trouble. No one knows who said trouble that way. Trouble. Anyone who gets that, I'll give you a free month in the trade room. Trouble. That's going to be trouble. Giles, very good. What did you do to get the 130? Did you take a reversal? So now oil's moving in the right direction. I did not have a level. The 100 is not my level that I pay attention to. It happened to bounce. It broke the 100 and bounced. Did you take the profit super fast? Is that what you did, Giles? Is that what you did? It really rings a bell, Arthur. I don't remember what song it is. Who is it? I do remember it, but I don't remember who. So I don't feel like I missed this long. I didn't feel like I had a proper place to enter. I would have wanted to enter closer to the low. I suppose we could have entered at the failure below the 100. That's what that little black indicator line is, but I don't really use it regularly. Right, the Music Man, I remember that. Not one of my favorite Broadway shows. So in this case, I don't really have a secondary oil trade. The breakout's over. The breakout, if you just left it to a typical breakout, it didn't work. We'll look at the video because it's important to realize that a lot of times, if you're trading cash live money versus testing a report in sim, you may trade completely differently. I mean, you will. The odds are you will trade completely differently. Because look, I didn't have 400 real dollars on the table for the sim trade. So I wasn't trying to grab a profit. I wanted to see if the breakout would work according to the DMM, and I didn't really manage the trade. And then on the move up, I mean, you could just say that I don't regularly use the 200, the 100 EMA as a meaningful indicator. However, I would consider the 200 as a much more meaningful indicator. And it's really not much different today. So I think I missed the long. I wasn't, look at the difference of missing, not watching the chart properly. There's definitely a magnet trade that is close to being over. Right in this area is a magnet trade. It's to go long for a test of the high. I can't get it on fast enough. I would not trade real money and do it this slow, this screwed up, unplanned, if you know what I mean. Let me see if I don't think I can get it going fast enough. Let's see. Let's see what happens here, folks. Let's see what happens. So my magnet entry would be 8360, and I can automate it by clicking the magnet button. This is the high of day, low of day magnet trade. There's 2 magnet trades in the new software. I'm sorry about that, Alan, that you lost money on that trade. I really am. Now, this is not the new magnet version. I did not load the new software yet. I got it right before I got to the room. But the way this is going to the way it should work is we can see the magnet. The magnet is 10% away from the high. That green line is the high. If the price goes there, it's going to put my order on automatically. Watch. It's going to go there. It's going to test the high. It should. So let's give it a few minutes and see if it does. It's not going up with a vengeance. You know what I mean? It's not going up with a vengeance. It's almost like watching paint dry on oil today, too. Very, very strange behavior. When you have a drawdown of 8 million barrels, this is what I mean when I say that oil does not always follow the reports. That we know. It doesn't always follow the report, the news. And oil was not necessarily bullish today. I'm just curious if this magnet's going to work. So I believe that 60-ish is our magnet. The idea for me in the magnet trade, this is not the type of price action that would make me comfortable taking a magnet trade. The type of price action that you want is nice, steady movement up. Not as fast as a breakout trade, but more similar to the behavior of news after a report. This is more like just slow lunchtime trading. That's not prime magnet trade entry time. Okay. So that's something to understand. And look, the beauty of it is that nothing happens unless it gets to the magnet. The magnet is 83. The magnet is the high of day. The magnet entry is before it gets there. Because the idea is you want to make money as you're being magnetized into the price level. So it hasn't failed. All right. So you just turn it off. Click the button. Magnet trade's over. For the moment, there is a magnet trade to the south, also to the short side. That'll be 82.78, somewhere in there. There's a proximity control. Okay, everybody, let's just double check the schedule. We'll be back at 3:30 for Meta, and IBM's trading also. All right. I want to thank everybody for watching. Let me turn off our stream. Thanks, everybody on YouTube. We'll see you soon.